This should be played at high volume.
Welcome back to Tobacco Road Sports Radio. My name is Randy Pettitt, the longtime voice of the Madhouse, North Wilkesboro Speedway, what's now known as the Cars Tour. Man, I've been everywhere during my career as an announcer, and of course, I'm most known for my time as the voice of historic Bowman Gray Stadium, which is in a starring role this weekend as NASCAR's Cup Series returns to Winston-Salem, North Carolina for the first time since 1971. And of course, we're bringing back the pit stop this year. We're going to get things kicked off tonight with a very special guest. And man, what a crazy week for him. We'll talk about it in a moment. But first of all, I want to congratulate Burt Myers of Walnut Cove, who now lives in Kernersville, on his 11th Bowman Gray Stadium track title. And he had the opportunity of a lifetime after the Clash was announced that it was coming to Bowman Gray. And we're going to talk about that tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my longtime friend and our guest tonight on the pit stop, Mr. Burt Myers. Burt, great to see you. And I know you're rolling in from Mooresville, North Carolina tonight. We recorded this 3 days before the Clash at Bowman Gray. Tell us what's going on, man. Exciting times.
Yeah, I got to Mooresville right after 9 o'clock this morning, and there's a lot of things that we have to do that we're not accustomed to. I had to do my impact testing where they test your memory. And I guess they want to make sure your nugget is okay before you climb in a race car. But I got that.
I would flunk.
Yeah, it depends on they get a baseline. So I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be good, but they said I could get in a race car, so I guess I passed the quota. But no, I've spent most of the day in Mooresville with Willie and the guys, just kind of fluffing up the cup car before they put it in the box tonight. Tony Jr. came over and man, I'm excited about everybody involved and everything that's happening. And just got home not long ago. So just glad that I can be on here and then we can talk a little racing.
Well, Burt, I think we're all starved for some racing. I was at Caraway Speedway last Saturday for the icebreaker, and man, it was cold. Just a smattering of fans, but man, it got my blood pumping again. And the opportunity to bring back the pit stop with the Tobacco Road Sports Radio, too good to pass up. And what a way to start tonight as we talk about the Clash coming to Bowman Gray Stadium. We all kind of heard rumblings this may happen back early summer. And sure enough, as Bowman Gray's season was finished up, we got word that the Clash was indeed coming to Winston-Salem. How soon did your phone start ringing, and how many phone calls did you have to make on your end to start to go, you know what, I'd like to be a part of this?
Well, the first thought I had was I wasn't sure of the format. I wasn't sure if I was even eligible to run this race or not. I started kind of shaking some bushes just a little bit right after it was announced. And I think between me and Tim both, we kind of knew that, one of us or probably both of us would do what we could to try to make this happen. And NASCAR's been very supportive. I kind of waited till after Phoenix because I knew NASCAR had a lot on their plate. So once Phoenix was over, we always attend the NASCAR Cup Banquet, which is now they moved it back to Charlotte, which is kind of neat. So once I got to Charlotte to the Cup Banquet, I started poking the bear, I guess you could say, with NASCAR to see if I was even eligible. Found out I was eligible, and then went to work. So NASCAR's been great. NASCAR media regional media team has been and followed me around for my seat pour and just kind of being involved with our releases and our videos. And man, it's been awesome, man. But to answer your question, as soon as it was announced, I think we all kind of knew that Burt and Tim were probably working on trying to get in that race.
Well, I'm really happy that both of you have worked something out to get in that race. Of course, Tim's news hit first. He being part of the Rick Ware organization, and man, what a great opportunity for him. And then a little later down the line, we found out that you indeed had worked out something. I understand you had been dancing with another dance partner for this race. It didn't work out, but this one came through in the end.
Yeah, there's just so many variables. And, you know, with the charters and the unchartered teams and the open teams, and you gotta think too that, you know, these guys are getting ready for Daytona in a couple weeks. So there was a couple teams that I had talked to that they were more than willing to try to work out something, but at the end it just didn't work out because of logistics. One team I was talking to that I thought was going to happen just finally realized that they were going to be spreading themselves too thin because they were fielding too many cars at Daytona. And if that's the case, I would rather them say no, because I wanted to do it the right way. And the cool thing about this deal, and with Willie, with a Team Amerivet, with his wife Becky, it's Tony Jr. being the crew chief. I mean, everything just kind of fell together where it had that warm and fuzzy feeling like it was supposed to happen this way. I guess the unique thing about Bowman Gray is usually whenever you go to a cup race, there might be 20 variables. Well, there are only 3 this time, because there's no aero, there's no this, there's no, these guys have laps there. These guys have experience there. These guys know what setups to put in their car. The only thing they're going off of is what they've been told, what they've heard, and what they've been able to plug into a simulator. Well, you can only learn so much from a simulator. So I've actually, contrary to popular beliefs, we bypassed simulator time. I didn't feel, I don't know, I could be totally wrong. I didn't feel like I needed to get used to necessarily simulator time for the track. I wouldn't have mind having some laps in the car. But as far as getting on a simulator, I just thought that it would be better for everybody, me included, to just hit turn 1 and see what happens. And believe it or not, I've also talked to several of my cup driver buddies that kind of said that same thing. And sometimes you can get in that simulator and you can start overthinking things. So this is going to be wide open for everybody. This is an unknown for everybody, even in the modified race. We've never raced in February before on a, completely green racetrack in cool temperatures. So I think there's a lot of unknowns that are going to take a lot of the variables that give those guys advantages. I think it's going to take it out of the equation.
Folks, you're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio. My name's Randy Pettitt, the longtime voice of the Madhouse in Winston-Salem, North Wilkesboro Speedway, and a host of other tracks, including more recently Caraway Speedway, which opens its 60th season on Sunday, March the 9th. So racing here in the Triad right around the corner. But right now, the Triad and the Twin City of Winston-Salem abuzz with NASCARs Clash coming to Bowman Gray Stadium as big league racing returns to Bowman Gray for the first time since 1971. We're talking tonight with the reigning and 11-time Bowman Gray Stadium modified champion, Burt Myers. And Burt, contrary to popular belief, this is not the first NASCAR National Touring Series start for you and Tim Brown. A lot of the real in-tune fans will remember both of you got an opportunity to run a truck series race at Martinsville 10 years or so ago. And you more recently had a chance to hop in an ARCA car and test that car on one of the super speedways. Talk to us about that, getting in that ARCA car and getting your feet wet there.
It was, I don't want this to sound the wrong way. So let me finish my story before you make judgment.
Okay.
I've had several people say, man, I bet that was fun. And I'm like, yeah, it was different. What do you mean different? I said, well, it was different. I said, well, was it not fun? I said, well, don't misunderstand me. It was a blast. But as far as like the racing that I'm used to doing, I'm used to getting in there and what the old guys say, swinging on the steering wheel. You don't swing on the steering wheel at Daytona.
Nope.
You're guiding a missile at Daytona. You kind of, just to give you an idea, you hold it wide open and you go down in the corner and you turn the wheel about this much. And you think to yourself, man, when I get back to this corner next time, I'm going to do that a little different. And you get to the next corner and you say, okay, the next time I get back down here, I'm going to do that a little different. That's not the kind of racing I'm used to doing. So
right.
It was very different, but at the same time, I had a blast. I can honestly feel like I can say I accomplished something because I got to run a full body stock car around Daytona Speedway at 180 miles an hour. So it was a unique opportunity. I'm grateful to NASCAR for making that happen for me. And just like I've said about the cup race, who would have thought at 49 years old, I would make my first laps around Daytona International Speedway. The same way at 49 years old, I'm making my first Cup start. But
God is good, isn't he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's so many things right now in my life that are just going great.
I want to interrupt for just a moment and talk about how much this means not only for Tim Brown and the stadium fans, but for the Myers family. Your family, a lot of the younger fans may not know, goes back to the very beginning of NASCAR. Your grandfather and your great uncle, they were instrumental in the early years, the foundation, the beginning of NASCAR, which started out as strictly stock in 1949, morphed into Grand National Racing, then Winston Cup, and today the Cup Series. But your family's been there since the very, very beginning. Your grandfather raced in the Cup, what's now the Cup Series. Your dad, a lot of folks forget, but Gary Myers was a struggling independent with some good runs on the short tracks, by the way, in what was then the Grand National Series, later became Winston Cup, now Cup Series. So this is just a matter of continuing the family legacy for you. Talk about that and how special and what this means to your family and your legacy, Burt.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, Randy, that until we have conversations like this, we don't think about it as a racing family. You don't sit back at the racetrack on Saturday afternoon. Well, remember when my family did this? We're there to do our job that day. So it's cool to reminisce and sit back and talk about stuff like this. But I'll tell you a wow moment for me, I guess you could say, is when we were at Daytona for the ARCA test, and we were there on Thursday and Friday, and my driving day was Friday. So we spent the day on Thursday, the guys that weren't driving, we got to go up in all the suites and up in the towers, and we have a little tour to kind of look around, and they take you up on top where the spotters are and stuff like that. And inside of there, the guide who was talking to us, there's a huge picture on the wall of the old Daytona Beach track. And, it's 1 mile of the beach, and then you turn around and you come 1 mile up A1A. So
right,
my grandpa raced on that racetrack. And so to think about, I was there to compete at Daytona International Speedway that my dad had also competed on. That was kind of a wow moment for me. That a cool moment, thinking about the history of my family, how long they've been involved in NASCAR. And like I said, to get this opportunity now to actually run in the Cup Series, I don't know that it's even sank in yet, but I've said this a dozen times, and I'll say it to you again and to the listeners now. There's no pressure on me. Like a buddy of mine asked me today, he said, "How are you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "How are you, like emotionally? Are you stressed out? I said, there's been a couple of times where I've thought to myself, why am I not stressed out? Like there's so many things that could have me stressed out. But the more I think of it, like I said, I'm not auditioning for a Cup ride. I'm not, if I go out and I perform, I might get another opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I'm not thinking about that. Randy, I'm thinking about going out this weekend and continuing my family legacy. But most of all, thinking about, man, I'm getting to run a Cup race in my backyard at my home track. And on a national stage, the fact that NASCAR has brought this back to Bowman Gray, I think it is a compliment to NASCAR for them to be able to do this and pull this off. And that the fans who've been going over there for, 50 years are going to get to see the National Series at their home track. So the whole deal and all is just really cool and really special for me.
Yes, and a lot of us grew up over there. You did, I did, and that facilities came a long way. And speaking of which, they have put brand new lights in. I had a glimpse of this lighting system. Tri-County Speedway has a very similar system up there. It's just amazing what they can do with the new lights. So even the fans that didn't have tickets for the Clash and can't go this weekend, they'll get a taste of that when Bowman Gray Stadium opens up in April. They have, of course, put in the soft walls. Catch fence. I've seen a lot of negative comments from the fans on Facebook about the catch fence. But let's be real. We've been really lucky over the years at Bowman Gray that somebody hasn't got hurt because, the modifieds keep going faster and faster. They're open wheel. It's dangerous. And I think that catch fence all in all is a very good thing. Now, one of the things that happened, Burt, and I've heard Tim talk about this, I'll let you talk about in a minute. With the soft walls, that basically narrowed the racetrack up a little bit, and it's going to be a little bit different groove. So despite all of your experience and Tim's experience, it's going to be a little different, isn't it?
Well, it's yes and no. I think single car runs, I don't think you'll see much different. I think where we might see a difference is double file restarts. I think for 25 years, if you've been on the inside of a guy, you knew how much room you had to give him to not squeeze him in the field. And that might be a little different now. You might squeeze a man in the wall, not mean to. And I hope that doesn't give a guy an excuse to squeeze you in the wall, but that could be the case. But I've walked the track with NASCAR. I've walked the track with the engineers. I've walked the track with the wall, J.J. Dutton, who installs the walls. Several of my Cup buddies. We've walked the track several times, and I've inspected it, and it doesn't look like to me we've lost a lot of racetrack. Going into turn 3, the wall sticks out sooner than it used to. It doesn't really stick out much more than it used to, but it starts its gradual turnout away from the concrete wall going into 3 a little sooner than it did. Just the opposite off turn 4. It stays kicked out a little longer than it used to, so you've lost some blend room up off of turn 4. There's a part of me that's a little bit sad to see the guardrail go, just because somebody in my family probably bounced off of some part of that guardrail at some time or another. We were fortunate enough to get to keep a piece of the guardrail. So
same here.
Yeah,
same here. I got a piece as well. I treasure it.
But at the same time, when you look at what they've done to the place, I think the biggest thing, if I have to pick out one thing that sticks out in my mind, is it just cements the longevity of the future of Bowman Gray Stadium. I can't imagine that they do all this stuff to this racetrack and it's not still racing in 100 years from now.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
That's the cool thing about it. But I am a little sad because I'm an old school guy. I like the nostalgic stuff, and but at the same time, it's really cool what they've done.
I've got 2 final questions for you, Burt. First of all, Caraway Speedway hosting a big open invitation modified race on Saturday, March the 15th. That's $5,000 to win. Your Uncle Randy Myers and Darren Hackett putting that race together. $5,000 to win. Do you and Jason plan on running that one?
As far as I know, we will.
Okay.
Obviously we have, how we race. We take it.
Right.
We focus on, we focus on a series or a certain, well, I'd say a series. So we plan on running the full Bowman Gray schedule. I plan on running the full Smart schedule. I can't imagine that we won't be there, but it just kind of depends on the situation at the time. But us, if it's a modified race in the area, we're usually there.
Final question for you, Burt, and thanks so much again from rushing back from getting ready for the Clash this weekend at Bowman Gray Stadium. In your mind, you've had a little time to think about this. What does a successful weekend look like for Burt Myers at Bowman Gray Stadium at the Clash this weekend? When the dust settles Sunday night and it's all over, what will you consider a success for this effort?
That's a tough question. Larry McReynolds asked me that on Sirius Radio, and it's a tricky question because over my years of racing, and I guess in now that I'm a veteran and I've been racing for years, your perspective changes. And I think that the reason that's a tricky question is because if we unload and we have a really good car, our expectations will be higher.
Right.
And our performance level will be higher. If we get there and we miss the setup or something happens that we feel like, we're just not where we need to be, then obviously you think about, let's make the show, let's bring this thing home in one piece, and let's get the best finish possible. That would be a good day. But if we get there and we're fast and we feel really good about our car, obviously, 15th place finish is not going to be considered a good day. So
right.
I know that there's not really a perfect answer for that question because it depends on how we get there and how we perform when we do get there. So I would dare say that everybody involved, I'm the driver, so maybe my mindset's a little bit different because I go to win every week.
Right.
But I think everybody involved, if you think about a top 10, and nothing's really tore up too bad, and we have a great showing and represent our partners well, Citrus Safe and Pinnacle and Dario and Team Amerivet, everybody that's just come together to make this happen. I think that realistically, everybody would consider that a good day. If I feel like I got a better car than a 10th place car, obviously I won't be satisfied, but I hope that halfway answers your question anyway.
Well, there you have it, folks. I'm Randy Pettitt, host of the Pit Stop, and we appreciate you listening on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio Network. And we want to thank Burt Myers, the 11-time Bowman Gray Stadium champion, 97 modified wins, a sportsman victory, and maybe a Cup Series victory at Bowman Gray Stadium this weekend. Good luck to Burt Myers and 12-time champion Tim Brown as they represent the weekend warriors of the Madhouse this weekend at NASCAR's premier Cup Series Clash this weekend at the Madhouse. Until then, we'll see you at the track.